All right, let's get right into it. If you're serious about daily fantasy, and I mean really serious, you've probably wondered, how do I actually level up my game, right? The thing is, the internet is just packed with these, well, risky shortcuts. So today, we're going to cut through all that noise. I'm going to show you how to build a professional, totally compliant, and genuinely more effective DFS workflow. It's time to forget the myths and start building a real edge. So here's what we've got on deck. First, we're going to bust a really dangerous myth about having multiple accounts. Then we'll cover the rules you absolutely have to follow. After that, we'll get into the good stuff, building a pro-level workflow, setting up what I call a compliant command center, and we'll wrap it all up by talking about what truly gives the pros their ethical, efficient edge. Okay, let's tackle the elephant in the room head on. This is probably the most tempting question that any serious player asks themselves. And, getting the answer wrong here, well, it can cost you absolutely everything. So, can you? Can you actually run 2 or 3, maybe even more accounts to try and scale up your plays? I mean, you see this question all over forums and social media. Let's finally get a clear, definitive answer on this. The answer is just no. A clear, flat-out, unambiguous no. One person gets one PrizePicks account. That's it, period. There are no clever workarounds, and trying to find one is just about the fastest way you can possibly get your account shut down for good. And look, this isn't just me saying it. This is pulled directly from PrizePicks' own policy, and I want you to pay really close attention to that wording: deactivation and seizure of funds. That is not a slap on the wrist, folks. They won't just close your account. They can actually take any money that's in it. The risk here is just massive, and it is so not worth it. To play smart, you have to play by the rules. It's that simple. And understanding these core policies, it isn't just about staying out of trouble. It's about creating a secure, stable foundation for your entire DFS strategy. So let's quickly break down the 4 big non-negotiables. First, PrizePicks is super serious about your location. So using a VPN or a proxy, that's an immediate red flag for them. Second, you gotta be ready for KYC, that's Know Your Customer, which just means you have to verify who you are. It's totally standard. Third, and this is important, actually use the responsible gaming tools they give you. And last but not least, a real pro tip. Treat this like a business. Your winnings, that's taxable income. So keeping good records from day one is gonna save you a huge headache down the road. All right, so now that we've dumped all the stuff you can't do, let's pivot and focus on what you should be doing. See, the real goal isn't having more accounts, it's having a smarter, more disciplined process. That's how you actually scale your success. This is how the pros really operate. Being a pro starts with security. It might not be the most exciting topic, but it is absolutely non-negotiable. Please, use a password manager so you're not using the same password everywhere. Enable 2-factor authentication, or 2FA. It's your single best defense. And this should go without saying, but never share your password with anyone. That's just a one-way ticket to getting your account flagged or worse. Think of all this as basic digital hygiene. Okay, next up, data. Honestly, the single biggest difference between an amateur and a pro is that pros track everything. A simple spreadsheet just like this one can be incredibly powerful because when you log not just your picks and your profit or loss, but the why you made that pick, you create this amazing feedback loop. You start to see your real strengths and weaknesses, and you can start cutting out the biases that are costing you money. So how do you manage all this research, all this data, all the news efficiently? This is where we can talk about a really powerful tool, but it is absolutely critical that we frame this in the context of using it the right way, the compliant, ethical way. Okay, so let's talk about Sendwin. The easiest way to think about it is like a super browser built for productivity. Its main trick is that every single tab you open is a completely separate, isolated session. What that means for you is you can be logged into all your favorite research sites, data tools, Discord, whatever, all at the same time, in one window, and they won't conflict with each other. It's a total game changer for organization. Now, this slide is maybe the most important one. We're drawing a very hard line here between what's okay and what's a serious violation. So let's be crystal clear. Using a tool like this to organize your research tabs, your news feeds, your spreadsheets, that's smart, that's efficient. But the moment you use its other features to try and say, hide your location, or log into multiple PrizePicks accounts, or bend any of their rules, you've crossed a line. The takeaway is simple. Use tools for productivity and research, never for breaking the terms of service. And getting set up is really straightforward. Once you're signed up, you basically just launch a session and start building out that command center we talked about. This is where you pin all your go-to tabs, RotoWire, Fantasy Labs, your tracking sheet, Discord. So everything you need for a session is right there, organized and ready to go in one place. All right, let's bring it all home. The real secret to scaling your success, it isn't some hack or some forbidden technique. It's about combining discipline, a solid process, and strict compliance into a workflow that gives you a sustainable, ethical advantage over the long run. This entire professional approach, it really just boils down to these 4 pillars. First, centralize your research so you can be faster and more efficient. Second, automate your alerts so you never miss that piece of critical breaking news. Third, systematize your own rules for bankroll, for risk, for when to stop. And fourth, log everything so you can actually learn and adapt. That is the process that creates a real lasting edge. So I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about. As you move forward, just ask yourself, what is the foundation of my strategy? Are you chasing those risky shortcuts that could get you banned tomorrow? Or are you building a repeatable professional process that's built on real discipline? Because that choice, it doesn't just determine if you win, it determines if you even get to keep playing the game at all.